Okay, so when you finish the survey, bring the survey to me. And you can start on your lesson check on today's assignment. And then you can look forward to the coding assignment. Shh. And then when I see that everybody has completed the lesson check, then I will go over the planning portion of the code writing. A reminder that you are not supposed to have earphones in, and your phones are supposed to be put up and away from somewhere that you will accidentally get it. In your lap and next to your keyboard is not a good place for it, because if it is there and you pick it up, I am going to write a discipline referral based on Dr. Williams' thing, because you have had your warning and you have had several of them. You guys probably, or I say probably, maybe remember the auto vote that was kind of introduced at the beginning of this unit, where you had to vote for something random, like blue or winter. So you guys are going to be doing something similar with that here today. Just as some facts, back in the olden days, when you had to go vote, you would get a ballot that had all of one party already pre-printed on it, or all of another party already pre-printed on it, and then you just go hand it in. That way there were no mistakes as to what you were voting for. We'd like to think that today's voting is a little bit more secure. However, we all have different opinions of that. So for this particular assignment, you are going to create something that is going to ask a this or that question. And when you answer which one, then you are going to get a list of 8 people and what they voted for, and then it's going to give you the final vote tally and that the winner was whatever, okay? So as you look at that, you know that you have user input is what they're voting for. Output is the program telling you what each of the fake people, voters, voted for, and what the final tallies are, and who the winner is. And the votes are decided based on your code tallying up those votes. You are going to need a couple of lists. You're going to need a list with voters' names, which you can make up, but 8 of them. You are going to need another list of options. Now, oftentimes we see these options as things like waffles or pancakes, Coke or Pepsi, winter or summer, flaps or drumettes, I don't know what else. There's other things. But you'll come up with a list of, let's say, about 10 items that you would have an opposing option. So option 1 or option 2. It doesn't really matter what order you put it in the list, just as long as you have one. Then you're going to have a loop that's going to help decide the program. Well, hang on. I will get there. You guys do need to think about how you're going to structure your program, okay? Now, I am going to put up some code, and I need everybody to turn around and look. We are not trying to type. We are looking. Okay. Now, this does use the random library because you are getting some random using random integer in order to choose which, oh, sorry, I forgot to hit random integer so that you can choose the index for where you are getting the name, the option, if you will, okay? So once you get that index number, which obviously you see is 0, and then length of the list minus 1, it goes into an option 1 index. Then you can see here that you have another variable, option 1 and option 2, that get their value from that index. So if you had index 0, it's going to pull it from here in the first place, the first index of the list. Okay? Then you create 2 more variables. These are your tracking variables that start off at 0 because you are going to increment them as you work through the program. Now, you have to have user input, so you have a user vote where they are choosing option 1 or option 2, and notice you have variables there, option 1, option 2. That's where you're getting that from. Then, while the user vote is not equal to option 1 or option 2, you have to prompt them to answer it again, okay? But assuming that they answered it correctly, you would use an if statement. If their user vote is equal to option 1, you increment option 1 votes. Or else you increment option 2 votes. Now, that takes care of the user. But now we have to go into the voter loop. And remember that this is random. You don't know these people. They don't exist. You're giving them random votes, okay? So you're using that randint again, 1 or 2, because that's the only option they have. Option 1, option 2. So if for voter in voters, vote num equals 1 or 2, then you are going to say you voted for option 1 and we're going to increment option 1 votes. That is the same option 1 votes that yours got tallied with, okay? Else, you do that for option 2 votes. And then you have the print statements at the end that show what each of the people voted for, as well as the winner it showed what the voters voted for here. Here is how many for each of the 2 things, and then the winner is here, okay? So that's what you're doing. There's not that much. Someone said, what kind of for loop? You have a for each loop right here for voter and voters. You do have an if statement, and then you have some user input. But right here, I'm going to actually leave up the variables to help you guys get started. Your variables don't have to be worded the same way, but I do think that it's helpful. Someone yesterday in class had a question about, well, why do I need to put in this variable when I can just put right here, randint 0 length minus 1. Well, you might be able to do that, but remember the purpose of variables is so that you can easily call on them later in the program without having to rewrite a bunch of code. So while something may work, if you knew ahead of time that you're only going to call on a variable one time, then don't make the variable, okay? But if there's any chance of you using that variable again, make that variable, okay? Because you know it's going to make it easy. Do you guys have any questions? Can you use well, you got randint for the voters, but for the user, no, the user has to be able to pick one of 2 options, but for the voters that are in the voter list, those are random. I guess if you have it working, I'm okay with that. Okay. Oh, does that give you a number? Okay. Okay. If you got it working, that's fine. You got it working. Okay. So guys, that is what you're working on. If you don't finish, it is for homework.